Lethal Tempo got introduced and the Dragon Lane tier list changed. The meta is hyper carry ADCs are super broken right now. Lethal Tempo giving you so much attack speed, and on top of that, in this tier list, the meta in the jungle changed so much. We have champions like Morgana being so good right now because she has the best jungle clear in the game right now, and the jungle changes are crazy. So if you guys are interested, stay tuned. I'm talking about all the changes on this patch and how it affected the tier list.
Make sure to also follow me on Instagram for some sexy Darkbreaker and real life pictures.
Hey, what's up guys? Darkbreaker here. Patch 3.2 tier list. I got you guys covered, and there are so many changes, and what's nice about this is that I've also added the runes that you should use on the champions. I didn't do it for everything because it looks really messy, but I did it for like the most important champions. So I hope you guys appreciate the fact that I added the runes that you should use on those champions. Obviously, there are different variations, like you can choose whatever you want. And we have huge jungle changes, we have new runes, so a lot of stuff changed in the tier list. I mean, the balance changes itself were not that big, but I think jungle changes are huge. Plus, Lethal Tempo is such an amazing rune that it's really amazing for a lot of ADCs. Remember, this is my personal opinion, it's my subjective tier list. You guys can orientate yourself on that tier list, doesn't mean that you have to go for it. But yeah, let's get started with the Baron Lane tier list. And if you guys enjoy this tier list and you want to see more content like this, want to support me, then definitely leave a like, subscribe, and let's get started. Actually, let's put, I think Camille is the most, by the way, this is not in order, but I want to highlight Camille because Camille is, in the Baron lane, such a strong and consistent champion. Like, she, trading wise, 1v1, she is very hard to deal with. She has way too much sustain with Divine Sandra, plus Grasp or Fleet Footwork. If you are in an easy matchup, you can go for Conqueror. Usually I would go for Fleet Footwork majority of the time, and Grasp against some champions where you're just trading all the time because they're melees. But in hard matchups, Fleet Footwork is amazing. Otherwise, Conqueror if you guys want to have more damage. But overall, Camille, amazing split pusher, great duelist, decent teamfight. She has the ultimate to pick off people, so that's really amazing. Then next one is gonna be Jace. Jace is really strong poking champion in the Baron lane. Range advantage, he bullies a lot of matchups, and his poking damage in the team fights is absolutely amazing. I feel like my nose is kind of okay, whatever. Next one is gonna be Darius. Darius is an amazing hyper carry Baron laner. He's super tanky. He is amazing in the lane, and once you get Noxus Might in the team fights and you dunk people, get the resets, he just wipes the entire team. So he probably has one of the best 1vs9 carry potential, even if your teammates are feeding. So what do I use on him? Conqueror, Fleet Footwork. Conqueror majority of the times, Fleet Footwork into hard matchups. For example, Darius against Jace, where you want more sustain, more healing. Next one is gonna be Set. Set is an amazing bruiser, super tanky, has great crowd control, good team fight, and great playmaking potential. And he can also be used as a split pusher as well. So overall, Set a very solid champion. Next one is gonna be Renekton. Renekton is an amazing duelist and is a super tanky frontliner. Conqueror majority of the times. Fleet Footwork sometimes. I feel like Fleet Footwork is always when you feel like you are in a hard matchup. So you guys can see here Fleet Footwork, Fleet Footwork, Fleet Footwork, Fleet Footwork. So it's really up to you if you guys want the extra sustain in the laning phase, but otherwise Conqueror is the go-to. We don't use Kraken on any of those champions. We don't use Lethal Tempo because you don't really need it on those champions. Next one, S tier, is gonna be Garen. Garen with Grasp, a super tanky champion, very easy to play. If you guys want to learn Baron Lane, this is the go-to starting champion you guys should learn. He is super tanky, he is decent at 1v1, and very simple to play. Next one is gonna be Riven. Riven is a very strong duelist right now and has amazing team fighting power. Majority of people are running Divine Thunderer on her right now as well. So, very good champion. Next one is gonna be Wukong. Wukong, amazing and solid Baron laner. He also is amazing at team fights thanks to his ultimate. And with Divine Thunderer, his trading is actually pretty solid. Next one is gonna be Aurelia. Aurelia in the right hands is turbo broken, but I feel like in the Baron lane there are some matchups that are not as easy as in the mid lane. So I just feel like S tier, very solid, strong champion. In the right hands, you can pop off like crazy on her. I put Conqueror majority of the times, but you can also use Lethal Tempo or maybe Fleet Footwork. But I think Conqueror is better than Lethal Tempo. Like, it gives you more damage than Lethal Tempo. I don't think you need Lethal Tempo on Aurelia, to be honest. But I'll probably make a video just to clickbait. But honestly, I think Conqueror is better. Next one is going to be Gragas. You can go Electrocute or Grasp. Electrocute if you guys want to have more damage. Grasp for more sustain and tankiness. You can use him hybrid build, full tank build, full AP build. He's a very solid top laner. That's overall pretty, like, he always can just clear the wave, but he gets outscaled by a few of those hard carry split pushers. Diana, you can go Lethal Tempo on her as well, but I feel like in the top lane you don't need it. So Conqueror is the go-to. It's amazing, gives you a lot of AD. Fleet Footwork if you feel like you're in a super hard matchup, and Electrocute if you guys want to have more burst damage. But basically, Diana is an amazing 1v1 champion, and her teamfight potential is crazy. She does so much damage, and she works like a charm against team compositions where they have a lot of Death Dance users, since she does magical damage. Plus, if you guys need magic damage in the top lane, then Diana is the go-to. Jax in the Baron lane with Demolish Rune and maybe with the Hullbreaker, maybe with Lethal Tempo is very, very strong. You can use Grasp as well, I didn't show it right here, but Conqueror is the go-to. Lethal Tempo is definitely viable, but it depends on the matchup. If you're playing against some lead champion where you can stack up the Lethal Tempo, then go for Lethal Tempo. Conqueror gives you amazing damage and Fleet Footwork for extra sustain, but yeah, Jax is amazing duelist, one of the best scaling champions, split push god. If you're leaving him while he has Demolish, he takes your turret in 2 seconds, especially with Hullbreaker. But early game he's very weak and he loses a lot of matchups in the early game. Shen is a very solid weak siding champion in the Baron lane with great impact. He has the ultimate to join teamfights. He has the taunt in those teamfights as well. 1v1 he's actually not that bad. In the early game kinda weak. He gets outscaled by a few champions, but overall he can hold the lane pretty well. They changed the energy management, so he's actually even easier to play than beforehand. Narcissus, I can add. You can also go for Fleet if you guys want to, but you don't need to be honest. Narcissus is a pretty solid split pushing champion, super tanky. In the early game, kinda weak. In the late game, an absolute monster. He skates like a truck, but I feel like his playstyle isn't necessarily the best in solo queue, because if the bot lane is feeding, he's a champion that likes to farm, he wants to keep farming, and he wants to not join team fights and keep farming, stacking up. But if your bot lane is feeding and you don't join any team fights because you need to scale, then that's kind of counterproductive, and you're just gonna lose even though maybe you're 2-0 in your lane, you have 300 stacks. But if your bot lane is feeding and Nasus wants to keep staying in this lane to keep stacking, then some other champions that are more likely to join the team fights, like a Darius, who doesn't need to stay in this lane the whole time, or Seth, Renekton, Camille, etc., they will have an easier time to help the teammates out even if they're behind. Tryndamere right now, wait, let me add Conqueror as well. Conqueror, you can also go Fleet Footwork, to be honest. So, with Lethal Tempo, Tryndamere is a beast 1v1. A beast. Like once you have like 2 core items, you have your ultimate, you just run them down with Ghost, and you beat a lot of champions are not gonna win 1v1 once you have like 2 core items and leave the tempo. So Trunamere right now, if you don't punish him early game, and his early game is not that bad because he has decent amount of sustain, he scales like a truck. He is so strong in a 1v1. I think he beats Aurelia, he beats Riven 1v1. He can probably run down Jace as well. Okay, these two might be hard, but a lot of Baron laners that are not too tanky and can't stack armor, they are gonna lose against Trunamere. So Trunamere very strong right now. Maybe I should move him a bit. Just so you guys can see. Wow, Trunamere is the new hot pick, by the way. Next one is gonna be, I don't know if I should move Fiora up. I don't know. You can use Fleet Footwork as well, by the way. Nah, I think if you guys are watching, she's a strong A tier. A strong A tier, A plus tier, but I just don't feel the S tier because of her one-dimensional playstyle and her weaker early game beforehand. She's still a great split pusher, obviously, but her team fighting is pretty meh. So I feel like if you guys want to play split pushers, Trunamere is better, Camille is better, Nasus, Jax, they're just better scaling as well. And if you guys want a strong team fighter, Set, Renekton, and Darius are also much better. Next one is Akshan. I just put Kraken here because I know some people will say, what do you go for Akshan? Kraken or Lethal Tempo or Conqueror? I think you can use all three, but I'm not a big fan of Kraken because Kraken honestly doesn't do that much damage. In the early game, it's pretty useless. And in the late game, sure, it's helpful. I mean, obviously, because of your passive, you can proc Kraken Slayer quicker. But overall, Conqueror gives you so much damage. But yeah, Akshan, very good to counter a lot of melee matchups. His downside is obviously that he's very squishy, he's a ranged champion, and he can get punished pretty easily if the enemy jungler wants to. Grace is a strong split pusher, but I feel like you need to be very good on him and you need to have the right matchup. So that's why I just put him A tier. Yasuo is decent. He has the potential with the right team comp to pop off 2 items, 3 items with Conqueror or Lethal Tempo. He can be very, very good, but he, like lane matchup wise, he loses a lot of lanes against like a Darius, against a Renekton, probably against Camille as well, Riven as well. Next one is gonna be Olaf. Olaf is pretty strong anti-tank or anti-crowd control champion. He's situational, but he can be pretty good into the right team comp. If they're super tanky or they rely a lot on crowd control, Olaf can just run them down. Akali, I was thinking, she does feel better with Fleet Footwork right now, but I don't know if she makes it to S tier. Maybe I should put her at S tier. Like when I played her, she felt much better now with Fleet Footwork. Because you can spam your first ability more often, and Fleet also gives you better energy management. Let's put her S tier. She is definitely much better now than beforehand, just because Fleet gives you now energy back, and they reduce the amount of energy you need for the first ability, so trading wise she's also a little bit better. I'm just gonna move her here so you guys can see, those are the changes. This is not in order, by the way, no order, but I just want to move her so you guys can see, Akali's better now. Cannon, honestly, Cannon doesn't feel good. Like, his ultimate doesn't do that much damage. He can punish a lot of laners in the early game too hard. And he gets outscaled in the 1v1 a lot. So they will just hard shot you the whole time. And then you can't even join team fights. And you will just get outscaled. And then every time you try to move and join team fights, you lose the turret. And if they pressure you in, they can also beat you 1v1. Let's, for example, Camille. Camille will just shit on Cannon completely, and he can't do anything. Jarvan, a solid tanky team fighting champion, can hold this lane pretty well. Pantheon, I feel like as a duelist, he gets outscaled by every champion. He's in the early game obviously good, and he has the potential to snowball, but overall he falls behind so much. Malphite is I should move this one as well because it's a new champion, right? Malphite is a solid tank, has some playmaking potential. With the ultimate, obviously the ultimate is amazing in team fights, but he gets outscaled by so many champions. He will get pushed in. He won't be able to join every single team fight, and all those Sunraw players are. Sunraw champions are just gonna shit on him and just sustain. Like, the more tanky you are, the more healing they will get and the more damage they will do with Sandra. So, Camille, Sandra, even Darius can build Sandra, Thad, Renekton, they're just all outscaling Malphite, and they will just push him all the time in, and he will be so behind in gold at all times. Mundo, same issue as Malphite. Downside is that he is... Oh, I forgot something in the mid lane, by the way. Let's change before I forget it. Where can I add it? Where's Mr. Singed? Okay. I'm gonna add him there before I forgot to add that one again. Same issue as Malphite, but downside. He's strong on 1v1, but he also lacks the utility that Malphite provides in those team fights. I don't know why I put this guy in here. No one plays him anyways, might as well just remove it. Singed. I feel like he got buffed with the Rhylights, obviously. He has the fleet footwork if you guys need to. He skates like a truck, but he sucks against so many champions, and his early game is so horrible. Vayne and Alushan have the same issue as Akshan. Obviously, Vayne is very good in a 1v1 against a lot of those champions, but the downside is if a jungler wants to camp you, you really need your jungler to babysit you, or otherwise you can go 0-5. Lucian, same issue, but he's also weaker in the 1v1 than a Vayne, to be fair. So I'm just putting them B tier. I know Kayle got buffed with a lethal tempo. I'm just gonna show you guys. I acknowledge that you can go lethal tempo on Kayle, but in the Baron lane she still sucks major dick. She gets bullied by so many champions. She's too weak early game, she's too diveable, and she is too scaling. Rengar, honestly I should just remove it, but it's very weak. Don't play it in the Baron lane. You guys will just int. Even if you're a proficient Rengar player, you're probably gonna int because he sucks in almost any matchup. And he got nerfed. I should just remove him. He's too trash. Don't play in Baron lane. Teemo is too weak as well. Teemo is way too weak. Harry. You can also go Electrocute. Like, the whole point of Teemo is like, you are the insane range matchup that is hard countering, but they can just run Sandra plus fleet footwork, and then they're just outscaling you, they will kill you 1v1, what do you do then? And you're so squishy that the enemy jungler can just camp your ass. But yeah, that's what the Baron is working. Let's go to jungle. Let me make sure that every position here is correct. Let's add lethal tempo on this one as well. Because I played lethal tempo Diana and it's honestly pretty good. Rengar got nerfed, yes. I'm putting him down a bit. I'm moving this one up. Nunu. I think you can still make Sinch work, honestly. Yes, that's fine. That's fine. I will explain later on why I think they are even worse now. Mundo. Yeah. Okay. First change is... Okay, let's talk about the jungle changes and how it affects the meta in the jungle. Because they increased the base HP of the red buff and the blue buff by 400 HP. So the jungle clear in the early game is worse for a lot of champions. Plus, blue buff doesn't give you healing anymore. So you have to backport much more often. On top of that, you have control wards right now that give vision. And they give vision against invisible champions like Evelynn and Rengar as well. So by default, it makes those champions worse as well. So just so you guys can understand. And why is Morgana so good right now? Morgana S+ tier. Okay, why? She has the best jungle clear in the game right now. They buffed the second ability and they made her jungle clear even better on blue buff because I mean, they reduce the armor. I mean, your auto attacks are gonna do more damage, to be fair. But yeah, basically, everyone else is worse when it comes down to the jungle clear. But Morgana can still do a full clear. Like, for example, I'm Camille. I'm Camille right now on the new patch. Without the leash, I need 130 to get 3 camps. What will Morgana do? Morgana will get a full clear. I don't know what time, but by the time I'm level 3, Morgana is already level 5. Morgana is clearing so quick right now, while every other jungler, if you don't have a leash, they are so piss slow. Because the clearing the red buff takes a lot of time, and you also have less burn damage from the red buff, so it makes it harder for you to clear the jungle right now. But Morgana getting the buff on the second ability, dealing more damage onto enemy camps is so amazing. So Morgana that just goes for full clear. You always have the tempo advantage. On top of that, Morgana provides binding, a lot of crowd control, binding, ultimate. Then the second ability is like she just power farms, and second ability is weaker for wave clearing, but great for like poking damage with Liandry, with Airy, and with Rylas getting buffed. It's very hard on those team fights to reach Morgana, and she just keeps poking you down. Her playstyle is kind of slow when it comes down to team fighting, because you need to play those team fights slower and not just brawl and run them down like an Olaf, for example. But she provides consistent damage, she provides amazing crowd control and good poking damage. So Morgana is very good right now in the current meta. The best or the fastest jungle clear right now in the game. Next one is gonna be Olaf. Olaf, still amazing jungle clear. He runs down people, he has amazing 1v9 potential. You guys should try out Lethal Tempo Olaf. I'm gonna make a video for it pretty soon, but it is cracked because he gets so much attack speed. When he's low life, he gets attack speed, plus Lethal Tempo gives you up to 100% attack speed in the late game once you have full stacks. So Olaf, amazing 1v9 champion. He can ignore crowd control thanks to his ultimate, and he does true damage. Eastern Kha'Zix are not really affected by the changes in the jungle. They still have decent jungle clear speed, but why are they so good? They are amazing at carrying games 1 vs 9. They can spam gank. They have great assassination power, so that's why Lee Sin and Kha'Zix are still S+ tier, didn't change anything. Irelia though, Irelia is the hot pick I said last time. Irelia with Divine Sandra, Blade of Rune King Death Dance. In pro play, it's being picked consistently first pick in the jungle right now. Irelia is so good right now, and especially with Lethal Tempo, there's another option for you guys to try out. Conqueror. I feel like Conqueror is still very good on her, so you can try out both Conqueror and Lethal Tempo, but basically she has way too much sustain and she does way too much damage. And in the right hands, absolute playmaking 1 vs 9 machine. Even in the late game, I always said beforehand, yes, she falls behind, but with Lethal, with Divine Sunra, she still does so much damage and has way too much sustain. Not sponsored though, it's Batman. Next one is gonna be Echo. Echo is a solid S tier jungler. His jungle clear is not the best. His early game is not the best, but he scales like a truck. He has amazing damage. His second ability is one of the best crowd control abilities for free. Like, it's not an ultimate, and it gives you so much shield, plus the ultimate in the late game, or even in mid game, 20 seconds only. So during a team fight, you can use it like 3 times, basically. So Echo, if you play him slow, you don't just jump in a YOLO, and you abuse the passive correctly, like passive management to get the movement speed, poking in, jump in, get back out, and then always just sustain poking in before you commit completely with the ultimate. Echo is very good. I think for now I'm putting him S tier, because the S+ tier champions are so good, but Echo is, I feel like people are always saying, oh, it's a new champion, you guys have no idea. Obviously he's kind of squishy, he's a glass cannon, but he does so much damage, and he has the ultimate. Even if you misplay, you have the ultimate to get full life again. and it's a 20 seconds cooldown only, so I feel like maybe I'm even underrating him. I'm putting him S tier right now, but I feel like maybe I'm underrating him because in the right hands, with good ultimate management, with good second ability, like the second ability is cracked. It's a 2-second stun. You use it, you jump in, it's a 2-second stun AoE. It can be a game changer in teamfights. Especially if you combine it with a Malphite ultimate, for example. Malphite ultimate, you use your second ability, you're dashing in, boom, they're all getting stunned, and you get so much shield value. Xin Zhao right now is so strong. He is an absolute beast. Great jungle clear, good tank, frontline damage as well. You can try out lethal tempo. Conqueror is still fine on him. AP Gregor still very good jungle clear, and he does so much damage and amazing poking damage. Nunu, I definitely think he's weaker because it's harder for him to clear the jungle right now because both buffs have way more HP, so he's kind of slower. When it comes down to jungle tempo, obviously he is very good at ganking. He's similar to Lee Sin and he's super tanky and provides a lot of crowd control. Jace S tier didn't change. He is still skates like a truck, does amazing poke damage, is decent at ganking, and is very strong duelist in the jungle or at any skirmish in the river. Vi actually is very good right now because her jungle clear isn't affected and she has one of the best jungle clears actually. You can just go for full jungle clear, reset, and then find a gank. So she is pretty amazing still. Great ganking potential, good damage, good bruiser, and great team fighting. Graves still amazing in the jungle. His jungle clear is a little bit slower, but he has, like, if you have 3 items, his 1 vs 9 potential is so good because he does so much damage and he scales like a truck. Lethal Tempo Jax, his early game is kind of slow right now. I think his jungle clear is okay, it's not that bad. And Lethal Tempo Jax, if they have a lot of melee champions, his team fighting is crazy. Plus Demolish Jax takes turrets so quickly and he scales like he's one of the best scaling champions in the game. Next one is going to be Jarvan. Jarvan isn't really affected by the jungle changes because his passive does percentage max HP damage or something. So still pretty good clear. He does amazing damage in the early game. He's one of the best gankers as well. And obviously he's an amazing frontliner in those teamfights and provides a lot of crowd control and playmaking potential. Riven is still fine in the jungle. She still has a decent clear. She's amazing when it comes down to the teamfight. She's amazing at snowballing. She's an amazing duelist. And she does tons of damage. I feel like the reason I always like Darius is just because he is so good at carrying games 1 vs 9. Once you get those 5 stacks, once he gets the reset, you can never underestimate the Darius in a team fight because you do one mistake, you get full stacks, boom, you're all dead. And honestly, his jungle is not that bad. I feel like probably Fleet Footwork right now because I mean his jungle is honestly pretty fine. I put Camille. I was thinking about putting Camille A tier, but because her jungle clear is so much worse right now, she's very slow with her first clear, so it takes her time to get level 5. But, I mean, she's one of the best gankers in the game with her ultimate, and once you get like 1 or 2 kills, you have your Trinity Force or you have Divine Sandra and you're scaling. She's very good in teamfights and she's a very good ganker. Evelyn, I put her down from S+ tier to S tier, and she's still good at snowballing games, but you always have to consider the control wards because everyone's buying control wards right now, and that definitely hurts her playstyle because it's not so one-dimensional right now, and you always have to consider if people have control wards nearby. So she's not like spam left, spam right, just gank, because there are so many control wards on the map right now. But obviously in low elo people will not use control wards correctly. Tryndamere. I'm putting him strong A tier with lethal tempo. He's absolutely amazing in team fights. Once he has like 2 or 3 core items, he is so good. But Downside is his ganking potential is not that crazy, and his jungle clear is kind of slow in the early game, and obviously he's a scaling champion. So you need the time to farm up, but remember, oh, I forgot to talk about it. They also increased the timer when Dragon and Herald are spawning by 1 minute, so that makes a lot of junglers better that are more scaling, because you are not kind of forced to fight at the 4 minute mark anymore. Rengar, they nerfed his base damage, his jungle clear is much worse, and control wards also exist, so just A tier. Fiora, her team fighting is not that good, and they nerfed the range on the first ability, so I'm just putting an A tier. Diana, actually pretty good jungler right now, just a solid A tier. You can also use Lethal Tempo Diana, actually not that bad, or just the standard, oh, actually Conqueror is the standard, oops. Conqueror is the standard. Early jungle clear is not the greatest, but it's definitely doable, and she's amazing in teamfights and has great carry potential. Wukong, very good in teamfights with his ultimate, but besides that, he is not special. He's just an ultimate bot. Pantheon early game, pretty good ganker, but he foughts off very, very hard. Lethal Tempo Shyvana, actually pretty good. Does so much damage, and now that the timers are at 5 minutes, she has more time and more breathing room to just farm up and not being forced to always gank left and right. Makes her definitely better, and her jungle kill speed is still fine. I know Master Yi Lethal Tempo exists, but I still feel like he does negative damage because they nerfed the first ability too much. That decent jungle clear. Actually, I haven't tried him too much. I feel like his jungle clear is obviously slower right now because they nerfed the buffs. Or they increased the HP on those buffs. But obviously, he's a decent ganker, he has playmaking potential, and he's super tanky. Sin jungle, maybe I should put it lower. Because, I mean, obviously it's a troll pick, and also his jungle clear is worse right now with the buffs. His jungle clear, oh. His jungle clear is very bad right now with those changes. But he is obviously, if he snowballs, he's always the 1vs9. He always has the one-shot potential if he gets like 1 or 2 kills early game. Dr. Mundo, bad ganker, jungle clear is bad. Ramos, jungle clear, absolute horrible. So horrible right now with the changes. Again, in general, like tanks that don't have good jungle clear are just so bad on this patch right now. Because you will be so slow when it comes down to jungle clear. You can't gank as much and you can't farm as much. So that's why both of them are so weak, and plus to Shen as well. Well, yeah, that's about it for jungle. Let's check out if the thing is still recording. Yeah. Karma got nerfed. Wait, what? Yeah, Karma got nerfed, but I still think she is broken. Amazing poking damage, too much utility, and too much damage. Diana is still one of the most cracked assassin team fighters. Aurelia is just too good as well. I already explained to you guys. She is just crazy, 1vs9, does too much damage, has too much sustain. Yeah, like the amount of times Aurelia is low life, but she's fat, so she has way too much sustain, and she will just live and beat you guys 1vs2 or 1vs3 is crazy. Like, she is too strong, too much damage, too much sustain, and too many dashes. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. What do you guys do? A good Aurelia will just shit on you. Katarina is still amazing in solo queue. Remember, it's solo queue. Katarina gets 1 reset, boom, everyone is dead. Like, you saw my recent video when I played Katarina. I don't even play this champion, and I get 20 kills. Like, I'm not even good on that champion. So if you're good on Katarina, it's so easy to carry games. Yasuo still stays the same, has amazing carry potential, does so much damage, 2 or 3 items, he is very, very good. Lethal Tempo is also an option for him, so you guys don't need to buy as much attack speed anymore because you have Lethal Tempo, and you can just rush crit quicker. Echo, I think his early game is kind of weak, and he's obviously very squishy, but he scales like a truck, and he does a lot of damage, and he has amazing teamfight potential. But I feel like obviously in some matchups he will struggle a bit. Plus, early game, he is not that good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he's fine in the early game. But I feel like against some matchups, he will definitely struggle. Singed. Singed is the new hot pick in the mid lane right now. He works so well. I was thinking about putting him S+, but now he's honestly just a strong S tier champion. Has amazing potential to make plays happen. He just clears the wave and he roams around, tries to catch people, and he scales like a super truck. Let's just put low, bam, fleet, Electro, and Akali, fleet footwork right now. They changed her first ability, so you need less energy, and fleet footwork also gives you energy, so I would always run fleet footwork. Makes it easier for you to also hit the first ability, or I mean the passive, because of the MS boost you're getting from fleet, and you're also getting energy from fleet footwork, so that's pretty amazing. I mean, they changed the ultimate, but honestly it's not too bad. Like the first proc of the ultimate is doing more damage now, and the second one less damage. I would say just the changes on the first ability and the energy management makes Akali much better in teamfights right now, because you can spam your first ability consistently without running out of energy, especially in late game. Lucian, solid ADC, does great damage, has tons of mobility. Ziggs, Orianna, amazing wave clearers with tons of damage and very consistent in teamfights. Fizz, great assassin with good carry potential. If he gets ahead, he just one-shots you, and he can just ambush you in bushes, so you guys need to be really careful. Galio got nerfed, but he's still cracked, does tons of damage. He has great carry potential, has the ultimate to join teamfights, has the taunt to make plays happen. Twisted Fate, amazing roaming potential to snowball on the map. Jace, amazing poke damage in teamfights. Zed, great assassin with decent split push potential. If you're good on him, you just jump onto the backline, boom, you one-shot people. Akshan, a very strong early game laner that scales like a truck. Has decent mobility as well and tons of damage. Ari, I think she got nerfed, but she's still S tier. She has great playmaking potential with the taunt. She has great mobility and great roaming power. Corki, solid laner, great poking damage, and absolutely amazing in teamfights thanks to this package. Especially if you're fighting for an objective, Corki is a must-have. He is so good. Kayle got better thanks to Lethal Tempo. Lethal Tempo Kayle, if you guys have a Lulu, is actually amazing. Obviously, her early game is still weak, but if you're like level 10 and the game didn't end yet, or you are not 05 by that time, she is an absolute late game monster, but obviously, she's still pretty squishy. Aurelion, decent in the lane, great roaming potential to snowball on the map. Garen, I think he is still fine as an AD tank in the mid lane if you guys want to have a frontliner in the mid lane. Brand, decent poking damage, bad roaming, but tons of damage in the team fights, and has some good long range poke, but he's not as safe as the Ziggs or Orianna now, for example. Morgana in the mid lane kind of weaker because they nerfed the wave clear. Veigar is fine, bad roaming, very squishy, skates like a truck. Yeah, that's what it. Gregor's solid mid laner, great poking damage, good teamfight potential, great playmaking potential with the ultimate and the third ability. Pantheon can snowball in the early game and then just roam around left and right. He's very good in the early game, but he falls off in the late game. Annie, a solid laner, has bad roaming in the early game, has very good playmaking potential with Protobot and Ultimate or Flash Ultimate in the mid and late game to catch people off in those team fights or with ambushes. I feel like this is kind of troll. I mean, it's kind of like Singed, where you just clear the wave and then you just try to roam and gank left and right and try to snowball. Cannon in the mid lane, bad wave clear. His damage is honestly not that bad when I played him, but I feel like he has so many bad matchups, and you can't abuse the range advantage that you have in the Baron lane, for example. Seraphine got nerfed, still decent poking damage, bad roamer. Lux same. I mean, Lux is very squishy. She has okayish wave clear. She's very bad at roaming. That's what I don't like about mid laners, that they can't really roam against a lot of champions because they will get punished if they get caught while roaming. Same applies for Sona, but even worse. AP Kaiser is absolute garbage. Please don't go for it. It's so bad. You will feed against Diana will kill you 1v1. Aurelia will kill you 1v1. Fizz will kill you 1v1. Zed, Akshan, they will just all kill you 1v1. You never can roam. You need to scale so long. And even if you're scaling, your damage is not even that crazy. Next one, Dragon Lane. I think this one is pretty interesting for you guys that are playing ADCs, because Lethal Tempo and Kraken Slayer are obviously good options for ADCs. First of all, Vayne. Vayne didn't get changed, but she now has the option to go for Lethal Tempo and Kraken Slayer. I'm still like, I talked to Doom about this one, and he told me he thinks Caitlyn, Saya, and Kai'Sa are the best. But I just always hate Vayne the most because she has too much mobility. Like, I feel like even if Caitlyn and Kai'Sa are ahead, there's always a chance if I'm ahead as a Baron laner, I can kill them. But if a Vayne is ahead and I'm a Baron laner that is ahead, or I'm a jungler that is ahead, it's very hard to kill a fat Vayne in comparison to Caitlyn, Saya, or Kai'Sa. Saya does have the ultimate though, but Caitlyn doesn't have mobility. Kai'Sa doesn't have mobility. So even if they're ahead, I can still kill them. But the fat Vayne, she does true damage. She has mobility. She has invisibility. She has the condemn to cockblock your ass and stun you. Kraken Slayer, every third auto attack you will do true damage. But honestly, it's not that much. And you already have true damage anyways. And Conqueror gives you so much damage. So I rather go Conqueror or Lethal Tempo over Kraken. Because Lethal Tempo gives you so much attack speed, which synergizes really well with the second ability and the passive of the second ability, because the more every third auto attack is going to do true damage, and the more auto attacks you will do, the more often you will proc the true damage. You can also go Lethal Tempo on Lucian, by the way. But I don't feel like you need necessarily the attack speed from Lethal Tempo on the Lucian, because you're like a caster ADC. Like, you have tons of mobility, you have tons of damage. Conqueror gives you so much damage. Kraken works because Lucian's passive, basically every time you use an ability, you proc 2 auto attacks with your passive, which will count for Kraken Slayer. So you more often will proc the true damage. But honestly, the true damage is not really that noticeable in the late game, because it's not that much. Like, the stats of Kraken Slayer are not that much. And Lethal Tempo gives you like 60% AD. Conqueror gives you plus 10% damage and like 30 AD. So that scales so well. Caitlyn, oh, I forgot to change this one. This is not the right one. Lethal Tempo. Lethal Tempo Caitlyn. Doom told me it's one of the best picks right now. It does so much damage, and you have so much range, and you can just keep stacking, and then you have 60% additional attack speed. And once, because you have so much attack speed, you can skip one attack speed item and get more AD instead. So you can go for BT earlier, or you can get, I don't know what would be the build, Stormrazor, IE, then maybe Mortal, Reminder, BT or something. So you can skip static or rapid fire cannon that you would usually get and get BT earlier, just because you have so much attack speed coming in from Lethal Tempo, and she does so much damage right now. Same for Saya. The thing about Caitlyn, she has so much range and is pretty safe. She does have the net to dash a little bit, but that's about it. So in teamfights, if you have frontline, she's a very safe champion. Saya has amazing playmaking potential with her feathers and the ultimate to dodge abilities, so she has amazing self-peel. Kai'Sa does so much damage, has Lethal Tempo, and you will do so much damage in those teamfights. You have the shield from the ultimate, you have the ability to jump with the ultimate to get the shield and dodge some abilities once you've marked someone, or the ability from your teammates are enabling your ultimate. Plus she has invisibility, and basically the first ability does way too much damage. Varus, a solid poking champion, still S tier. He doesn't benefit too much from lethal tempo because he's a poking ADC, not necessarily one of those hyper 1 vs 9 ADCs. Jhin, I know some people said, Kraken Slayer Jhin, nah, just go Conqueror. Kraken Slayer doesn't work on Jhin. It doesn't really benefit you too much. Still solid champion in the early game and late game. He kind of falls behind late game, but he still does decent amount of damage. And in the laning phase, he's really, really good. Corki is amazing right now in those Dragon team fights. Maybe I should put him as plus tier. But he doesn't benefit too much from lethal tempo in comparison to Asaya or Vayne. You just go Conqueror on him. Because usually you just spam your abilities and not necessarily use that many auto attacks. And teams usually just go Corki with package for the team fights. But now the team fights are kind of delayed as well. Jinx lethal tempo is definitely the way to go right now. It does so, like, if you have Jinx, Lulu plus lethal tempo, you will just spam the whole time your auto attack's doing so much damage. And I'll probably just go Stormrazor, IE, then armor penetration, then maybe a BT, and then maybe last item you go Guardian Angel or I don't know, static maybe last item. I don't know. Next one's gonna be Ashe. Ashe is definitely better right now with lethal tempo, but I still think she's just A tier because her damage is not that good, and she doesn't have mobility. Tristana lethal tempo makes her definitely better, but I still think she's just A tier because she is too scaling, and her early game is not that good. I just put all of the APCs 1 tier down because I feel like ADCs are more meta right now with lethality tempo than those poking champions. And usually those APCs are better in a team composition for competitive, because in solo queue, I mean APCs are definitely working in solo queue. But I think with lethal tempo now being introduced, they will get outshined by those ADCs, which will do more damage than those APCs. And yeah, that's why I just put them A tier. Draven doesn't really benefit too much from lethal tempo. I still think you go Kong or lethal tempo, I guess, but you probably just go Conqueror. So he's staying as he is. He's strong early game. He doesn't have that much mobility. Ezreal, very good mobility, but he's very, very scaling, so he's kind of weak in the early game. Misfortune in the early game, strong, but falls off in the late game, and she doesn't really benefit from the lethal tempo changes. Brand, same explanation as those champions. He kind of gets outshined, obviously. He is very squishy, and he can't stay as far back as the others to poke people down, so it's very easy to kill him in the backline unless the enemy have a super front line. Morgana, weaker right now in the lane as well, because they nerfed the laning phase, they nerfed the wave clear, and she doesn't provide the greatest damage. She's more like a utility-based champion. Veigar is too scaling, too weak in the early game. Senna is not, like, she doesn't benefit from lethal tempo at all. You still go Grasp. And as ADC, she's way too scaling, and I feel like her late game is just not that good, to be honest. She doesn't do that much damage in comparison to those champions in the S plus tier or S tier. Akshan as ADC is honestly troll. He doesn't have the range in those team fights. He doesn't provide the same damage value as those hyper carry ADCs. And laning phase obviously pretty weak. Next one, support. Yeah, Yuumi stays the same, still absolutely broken. Whenever she's open and the enemy ADC is not a clown, they just win. Even with the anti-heal changes, which make Yuumi obviously a little bit worse, she is just too good when it comes down to boosting. Like, you guys understand, we have lethal tempo right now, which makes ADCs better. And Yuumi boost those hyper carry ADCs. So if she's boosting a fucking Vayne with a lethal tempo or Caitlyn, or Saya, Kai'Sa, Lucian, they will just shit on you completely. Karma, even though she got nerfed, she is still way too good. Utility-wise, she is just providing too much. Next one. Rakan, amazing playmaker, stays the same. He has the knockup, he has the AoE taunt. Alistar has the knockup as well. Amazing roamer in the early game. Super tanky with his ultimate. Great playmaking potential. Thresh, great playmaking potential. Strong in the early game. I mean, basically why I like those champions is because Rakan, Alistar, Thresh, Gragas have amazing playmaking potential, especially in the early game, trying to roam and catch people. And in team fights, they are super, super good when they're landing the abilities. Lulu is an amazing enchanter that also buffs the ADCs and makes them super strong. Nami is a very good enchanter that is good at peeling champions and has good playmaking potential with a Nami bubble, with a Nami ultimate. Soraka got buffed, so that's why I'm putting her a strong A tier right now. She is provides a lot of healing. Obviously, anti-heal got buffed, so that makes her weaker as well. But yeah, overall, she received so many buffs, and that's why I'm putting her A tier right now. Because if you have the right team comp and she has some frontliners, she stays far behind, she silences people, and she can just keep healing people up. But yeah, anti-heal. I mean, the main reason I'm putting her up is because she received so many buffs in that patch. Like, I've seen so many Sorakas being pretty annoying, but she's situational that you pick her only into the right team comp. Janna is an amazing enchanter with good peel for your ADCs. Galio got nerfed, he's kinda weaker right now, and his taunt value is also harder to pull off because they changed the second ability, so that's why he's just A tier. Leona, decent playmaker, but she doesn't provide that amazing value in the early game, the amazing playmaking potential like the other S tier supports, because she just has a single target stun minus the ultimate that is not that reliable to hit. Braum with the self peel is pretty good. He has the shield to block some projectiles. He has the single target stun in the early game, which is okay-ish, but his roaming potential is not that crazy and not that easy to pull off like those champions here. And the ultimate is pretty good to make a play happen or to peel for your teammates. Both Sona and Seraphine got nerfed, so I'm just putting them B tier. Makes the early game much worse. The late game is a little bit better, I think, but the early game is much worse than before. Lux, decent. I mean, she's okay, like B tier is decent. She provides some poking damage value. She has the bind, but she's not the greatest peeler, and she doesn't provide as much crowd control. So she's more like a damaging support that has a little bit of peel for your teammates. Shen is weak in the early game. He only has the taunt value, and it's not that easy to pull off in those team fights. I mean, I've seen some good Shens, but I feel like in the early game he's really weak. And he does have some playmaking potential, but as a support you don't have that much gold, so you are really squishy in comparison to a Baron lane Shen. Set in the early game is decent. He's weak in the he's weak in the laning phase, obviously. He's kind of cheesy. And without gold, I always feel like he is not that tanky. He does have some playmaking potential with the third ability, and with the ultimate, he has decent teamfight value. Morgana, as a support, is okayish. She has the bind to catch people. She's kind of weak in the early game, obviously, since the only thing she provides in the early game is her bind, but that's about it. And yeah, she's just a bind bot. And sometimes you can use Black Shield to negate one spell. Cinch support, kinda cheesy. You wanna catch people with a Protobelt third ability. And he scales pretty well, but his early game is very bad. So try to scale, try to catch people. Annie in the early game also really weak. She's really squishy. She doesn't provide any peel, but she has some playmaking potential with the Protobot and Ultimate. Amumu support is pretty trash. Mundo support is pretty trash as well. Those two champions are very weak in the early game, and in general, tank champions are weaker right now with a lethal tempo being meta for ADCs because they will just shit on you and burst you down. You have Giant Slayer as well against tanks. You have Kraken Slayer as well against tanks. Pantheon in the early game as a support is very cheesy. You want a snowball, but besides that, he doesn't provide any value. Mono support is just meat shield, doesn't do anything in the early game. Senna support is kind of situational. I feel like she is pretty weak right now in the current meta, and she's so situational that you can only pick her into some comps, like certain comps, and if you're duo queue, like a Senna Galio combo or Senna Nasus combo, but in solo queue, if you pick her alone, you just pick her into double ADC. Like if you have Senna support and an ADC, she is so bad. Like all of those champions here are so much better with ADCs and make the ADCs have an easier life. But the Senna support is just a minion, doesn't do anything. Blitzcrank, they did buff Blitzcrank, right? But I just feel like he's a hit or miss champion. So if you hit the hook and you land on the right champion, cool. But if not, he's absolute garbage. So it's a skilled champion. He can be B tier, but majority of Blitzcrank players are so bad, so that's why I don't like it. But yeah, the biggest change in this new patch is definitely Morgana right now. She is the hot pick, doing like her wave clear, her jungle clear is so crazy. Like she is the fastest jungler right now in the game. You guys need to try it out. And besides that, Echo is definitely pretty good, but Dragon Lane, lethal tempo on ADCs make them even better right now. Hyper carry ADCs are meta again. They are so amazing, and in the jungle, jungle changes, huge jungle meta change for a lot of tanky champions that are not viable anymore because the jungle clear is just way too bad. But yeah, that's what it. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like, subscribe, write down below your opinion in the comments, and I see you next time. Bye bye.
Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.